Now I may safely love you, Walt. Brother, you are permanently dead. We bury your ashes on the hills and in our city parks, or at nightfall. We whisper your name at Land's End, where the seals bark like dogs on the rocks. I may safely snuggle up in a bed of cold pillows and sheets. The medicine I imbibe is mind-altering. It catches bad thinking and sends it running. I still dwell on mortality, but with verve and wiry persistence. It is just there before me, like a window, the shades half turned down. Now I join you for a moment at least. I go down to the underworld where you are a shade. Please unroll the scroll of your secrets. How did you come to write this song of myself and the one about the birds out of the cradle endlessly rocking? Now I take your hand, father and brother. I move a free hand across your body. It is like smoke or fog. I ask for your blessing as the shadows lengthen. I want to show you how the medicine bends me in the night direction. The green looks greener. This day's rain shower fell sweetly like an aria in an opera. I can sort out the demons and angels. Oh, Walt, it is a crazy patch of grass I walk on. The owls hoot. The blue jays sound like crows on my backyard tree. A hummingbird comes silently, lithe stranger. I love and I hate. I love our land, but love to change it. I persist here in the later decades. Your book lies open. I go from bedside to bedside. I sleep close with the other sleepers, each in turn. But we are strangers on the trail. The roads close down under the sun. A cloud grazes the far hills. You did good things. I can stay only a while. I will back away. But you should know the continent shifts and probes. We're altering even the weather. Your old myths stored now on a magic screen. Just so, just the right amount of yes and no, we lead ourselves. And this is called Anniversary. Unlike Walt, I have a partner. Times are different. I have somebody. 27 years ago, I said, I'm going to meet an Asian doctor and live with him the rest of my life. And I had to do something.
I needed a Jewish nurse.
And actually, he's an extremely circumspect guy. It turned out that he was, I don't know what I was going to get, a brain surgeon, a proctologist. I ended up with a psychiatrist, if you can believe it.
Lucky day.
I always say the guy's a saint for sticking with me. He'd come home from working all day. It took me 25 years to realize you don't tell a psychiatrist. You wouldn't believe what happened at Cafe Trieste today. You wouldn't believe how I was snubbed at the party, you know. And this guy, he's just, but he likes that I wrote this. This is the opening of a chapter. I called his home in L.A. and his mother answered. She said, you like Filipino girls? And I honestly said yes. Anniversary. So this is for Jesse. We're just over the hill and he couldn't come, but he did go back east and he went out to the reading and that was cool. So simple it is, yet I hardly know who you are after 27 years. I look at you when you are sleeping, your hair gray now like my own, deep laughter coming out of your sleep. I turn the light out and touch moonlight streaming in from the blinds. Well, I'm a poet, and you're a psychiatrist. I'm a Jewish guy from Southern California. You were born in the Philippines. We met in Los Angeles under the bleeding ire of the palm trees. I think it was summer. We were phantoms born to conspire. We dove north in my old green car. It should be simpler, yet I cannot explain the distant lights of dead stars, not the dead scope of the gods, nor the light that lives in your eyes, or your anger and your joy. It leaves me in the dust sometimes. I peeked outside a few times as the decades sank into the soil. Your father died and you flew home into the brown sky and the barrios. Then your mother, I sat beside you and the phone rang and you were off again from the old terminal at SFO. Because they had lived with us, I shared some of the loss. I saw my mother off and my father, and then I held on to your sleeping lips. I saw the moon cross our bedroom and settle on a folded copy of the New York Times, and then plummeted to your sandals. Simple, yet puzzling. The tides crying out for a storm, and rings of thunder crisscrossing the mountains beyond. So mysterious you remain. I think there is no knowing another beyond a certain point, and that the clown in love is a magician, and the wise old fool is a clown forever, and that the Sphinx knows nothing. But we do. We know little. We peek. We steal into one another without giving it a thought. So complex is this simplicity. Two gentlemen together, little lights, old gray roses, little, but all generosity in knowing when to forget and when to remember, feeling how to bow forever before the mother of love and then run for cover. Simple, yet filled with varying shades, earth tones and blue waves on the black rock, dread grace of silence. I push the moon into your body as you lie sleeping, so many summers and so much light, so many mornings, so much that will not yield when I find you here near me alone. Thanks. So we're in New York, we're staying in Brooklyn, and the funny thing about New York these days, I never had a corned beef sandwich or pastrami with lots of mustard and a Dr. Brown's diet cream soda. You know, it was always, falafel or something, Philippine Thai fusion, the place with pork belly. That's the big rage now, is pork belly. It's absolute killer stuff. But, we go to the Met, and then Jesse wants to go and see a play, so we have to go see a play. We go to the Metropolitan, it's crowded, it's just too much. And then the Museum of Modern Art, the same thing, and I've seen the same paintings for 25 years, except there was an exhibition. And you wouldn't know from the poem, but it's an exhibition of somebody I knew and who I've written about, Willem de Kooning, one of the great abstract expressionists. And so there's this big exhibition, and this is what came out of it. But you wouldn't know it was him if you read this in a book someday. The exhibition. We're here 6 floors closer to the upper atmosphere than when we were before. Great globs of paint holding up the museum walls. Yeah. It's an exhibition, a retrospective, and the artist gone now hangs over his work in some strange way. You may sense a hand applying paint, a keen eye focusing, a pause before the canvas, maybe an assistant handing over a tube of titanium yellow. It's a 20th century view of women and of the ocean, of roads and of that famous inner landscape men grapple with on their passage. It's an American view, and it drips, it hardens, it chokes, it expands, it subtracts, it rises, it expresses shame. It does for me what I do for myself. I stand in the rain and look at a swath of blue paint laid out like a highway. I run for shelter from a hailstorm and peruse something monolithic in my brain, not of the exhibition. I surmise famous paintings worth millions of dollars, icons of what critics call an American century. We're 6 floors above the sidewalks of Manhattan, thinking of a leaf in the corona and of zinc oxide and turpentine. We can almost smell the crowds, but we cannot touch the handsome young man pacing before 5 large abstractions out of which women emerge, refusing to be lost, not accepting entrapment. It's a good exhibition, not overwhelming, a bit less than the Mogul show across town, surely an unfair comparison, but we are consumed by likes and dislikes, bound to be delighted, disappointed, or judgmental beyond reason, that the good and the bad, of heavy and of light, of day and night. There's a photograph of the artist, a small, unassuming man in his studio, known for hard drinking and for a frenzied drive. I see he is possessed, like so many who aim their brushes at an empty canvas. He has trees in his eyes, and wild brushland on his mind, and various levels of intimacy on his tongue, and he sticks it in and brushes it. Half an hour later, I'm down on the streets. Doormen and tourists, diamond merchants, and failed novelists all assemble as if on a field at a military camp. They yearn for order. They do not know what I have just witnessed. Some would not care. Others might want to see or to understand. My ticket is folded in half, and I fondle it before depositing it in a trash bin. It says, Museum of Modern Art, and the price. What remains is my own palette of color and a feeling that the artist has some of it right. He knew a good thing and kept it going. He had little choice. Even his late work, simple ribbons of light, blue or yellow, orange and red, value the idea that we are born for a time to survive. Amen. So Latif, because you read about my city, Los Angeles, my birth city. No, but actually, if David will bear with me, actually I'll read this poem. You know, I've been on a road trip sort of with David and Julie. I mean, all over, you know, Davis, up in the mountains, David here and there, and I always read this poem, and I know David likes it, but after I've read it 50 times.
I still like it.
Really? Okay, good. Okay. I wasn't at you. Didn't have I know you. But I've got to find it. Shit. I hate it when people, I can't stand it. They look at their book and, what is the name of that poem? I'll find it. Okay, let me give you, it's called 1967. And it was a love affair I had with somebody who's, believe it or not, even with the Xanax, I can't say his name. I can't say his real name. It just won't come out of me because I was so crazy about this guy. And 1967, it was sort of a triumph for me to be able to go back and rescue him out of the miasma, the ether, the whatever. Those were great times, you know, those were great LSD and everything else times. My last trip was in 1975 in North Beach. It was awful. I would never go near 50 miles of it. You think you're in control. In the Theosophical living room, we read from a book by Madame Helene Blavatsky. She wore gloves. We ate in the kitchen from a blue bowl and listened to the radio. It could be worse than love. I have your jade eyes and your thin, strong body, your manner of laughing, how you spoke my poems aloud. Who was he, and what did he accomplish? His apple-red cheeks, his sculpted lips, inviting me in the new century. Pull him from the ether. You must translate the lost feeling, the ease of your love back then, and the impossible. Well, the news is, how do the words fit into your heart? When do we walk upstairs hand in hand as if we had skimmed and gone deeper? Every letter on my tongue I handed to you that early evening, then reached for your long blonde hair, kissed your cheeks, and began slowly to unbutton your shirt. We heard the robins outside in the South Pasadena night. The crowds would be leaving the racetrack, and the robins would trill until they were worn out. I brought you upstairs. The odors of the old house were perfect. No one would be home. They're gone for 7 days. Even the mole who rented a room off the kitchen had left. I felt liberated and clear. It was 67. Our war worked its alchemical way into the crevices of the Republic. I thought we would read poems forever and come to find meaning behind every window, that our understanding had grown deeper than the passage of time. I saw only how young we were. You were a year out of high school, and I was a student at Cal State. God, Lord. We visited my old poet friend in Hollywood. He might have guessed at our love. I think he imagined it. 2 decades later, he whispered, I knew. But this was then, and we were thinking how love could not end. Parading into the commune where you lived, your mother and father, twin spires of salt, gave us a room of our own until we floated off the hillside across the San Fernando Valley. Many nights it did seem like forever as the war surged at us and the music grew louder. I heard the voice of Constantine Cavafy and held your body close to mine and lay quietly against your smooth skin. Later, when I came for you and found the place abandoned, I panicked and drove up the coast to where you had all lived before, but they had only rumors for me. I headed further north, taking side roads, finding enough information to keep going, asking how could he leave me, driving and thinking of the birds and their chords, loud and finally silent, our hands intertwined. His parents must have done this to separate us. Something he said to them, or they just had to move on. Or the year had died and I hadn't noticed. Alone, driving north, never going back, driving in a redwood grove, the heavy shadows falling over memory. Driving into the rain, I saw my face in the glass of the window, the wipers moving at a fast clip, darkness deepening. I can only cherish the idea that you were looking, or maybe just thinking of me. And then, suddenly you're 64. That's 2 years ago. You can tell I'm not obsessed by aging. So I went to the Kaiser Clinic, and they, First thing they said is, we're going to give you group therapy. I said, I don't need to be socialized. Thank you. So they gave me a therapist, and the last time I saw her, I shouldn't say it, last time I saw her, I think she was upset because I said, the pills are really helping. And she said, what about the therapy? It was like that, so I had to hedge it a little. And then I started to have to make that, you do a 1 to 10 on how bad things are. And I had like 3. The last time I think I had 16, So it was like things were good. And I said, well, hey man, I can't help it. It's, but you've done good for me. And then I started to make things up. Well, I felt very bad yesterday, actually. I didn't put the 3 down. 64. Do I want to? No, God, no. Okay, here it is.
65.
So I write. I'm not writing that. I'm not reading that. This one. I'll read a triptych, and that maybe that's. How we doing?
Triptych probably will do it.
Triptych will do it. Okay, so it's a 40-page triptych. Okay. Let me get the rest of it. No. So number 1 in the triptych is 3, right? Yeah. A triptych 1. So we say 1. Spare none of us your beauty. It is insane, truly insane. The mouths, lovely beasts beyond, open wide and praise your humankind, though I do not believe in joint ownership of your personal divine or in equality of every human mind. I believe in your beauty. I follow your eyes, one brief moment to judge all signs correctly, spare nothing amid ragweed and morning's fog. This is a descent into the skull of reason. Come identify your mind in this rage. Come praise those who've lost the ability to praise. Consciously awaken a blue moon in your body. Though I'd always say, spare none of us your beauty. You are a martyr in the grass. Come in now and be thankful for the death that awaits, because you are free from all confusion. 2. Rise like a dragonfly on a morning like this. Rise like a drop of ink on the end of your pen. Beauty fell into pieces. Only 1/2 of a moon goddess survives. Come sing for the winemaker as he walks round the sun. Praise his lips, testing, probing the architecture in his mind. Merlot and Pinot, a delicate drop, a fall, the rugged edge, a mind for music, and pause in the game. Rise like the fragile silence of the beekeeper. There is no enemy, only the comb, only the family, only the ruler, a queen deep in her dream. Come sit by the creek. We would dive in as kids. Now we're elders, and the truth is rusty like a nail in the rain. Rise like the smoke from your campfire, sweet mind, terrible sinner. Come sing, come rise, push a log into the conflagration so it will burn to a bright blue 0. The last one. 3. Ergo a triptych. So much love that I want to run from love. I sit in the garden behind our house on Bernal Hill, thinking rose, tree fern, watching the hummingbird, not a griever or a communist, not a believer or a capitalist. So much murder in the name of the people, so much acrimony poured into one corner as the other corner burns down to a raw nerve. So many experts on love and fond regard who choose the oppressor to oppress. So many who know so much, so safe to feel protected by those who know, those who love. I wait on the hummingbird as he or she, it, flits over the fence, carrying my banner, save that of a primal dream of flight and of standing solid midair, and it is so all right. Thanks a lot.